You are listening to the TWT Podcast Network.
You didn't scream, boom shakalaka. You didn't howl at the moon.
Paul, say something stupid.
Bologna, fudge, and mustard. My life is being ruined by the internet.
I'm here to stay. Make a good lucha thing.
Where's my fucking champ?
This will be the moment, starting now, of the genesis of McGillicuddy.
We're going to the top of the totem pole.
This is the Wrestling Botchcast with your hosts, Scotty the Brain and Sean Bradshaw Layfield.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Wrestling Botchcast. We are at episode number 12. We hope you listened back to the Money in the Bank prediction show that we posted a couple of days ago. If you haven't, go back and listen before Money in the Bank happens this Sunday. You can listen to our predictions. We had some pretty good takes on there, so it is definitely worth your time. It's a short one. It's only about, I think, 45 minutes or so.
Would you describe them as hot takes?
I think they were pretty hot takes.
I feel like my takes were lukewarm at best.
They were, but I mean, that's kind of your thing.
Yeah.
All right. SBL is looking to retain his bot championship, and we had a special guest who may be joining us again in the future, Mr. Stunning Steve. So this week...
Again in the future, you said? I thought you fired him.
I brought him back.
If he wins the bot championship, he's going to have to come back and defend that honor, brother.
That's right, which we'll find out on Sunday at the Money in the Bank. Well, this week, there's a whole lot going on. Whole lot. We're probably not going to cover a whole lot of Raw because it pretty well sucked. But we're going to start, as we do every week, with the dirt sheets. First up, CM Punk got his ass beat and still made 20 times the amount his opponent made. Opponent. His opponent. 500.
One thing I'll say, CM Punk does not have a glass jaw because he was taking punch after punch from a trained low-level boxer and just not going down.
That's true. I mean, he's got a jaw of steel, that's for sure. Though I think the guy was playing with him for a solid 5 to 10 minutes of the entire match, and the dude...
Round 3, he absolutely was.
Yeah, he was just on top of him, just throwing just errant punches at him every couple of seconds, and I mean, it looked really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have ended it early, I'm sure.
For sure. It was an abomination. You could tell, I mean, CM Punk's first round looked pretty good, and then you could tell that he just ran out of gas completely. And, he's a 40-year-old man, so maybe he shouldn't be fighting in UFC. Just a thought.
I would agree with that. So after that, I guess Corey Graves went on an ex-lover rampage against him.
That was so weird.
It was. He doesn't call anymore. He was the first guy to ever hold my baby before I could because I couldn't make it to the hospital and blah, blah, blah. Who airs that out on Twitter?
I don't know, man. I guess he said that he was airing it out on Twitter because Punk told him via text that he didn't want to talk to him anymore or something, and or anyone involved in WWE, I guess. Honestly, that's the one thing that I'll side with, the WWE wrestlers on, is that just because, if I left a company, I may not reach out to or go out of my way to talk to anyone that I worked with. But if they text me to say hi, I'm not going to be an asshole to them or big time them in any way. So I get that. But the whole it's not Punk, it's about community, blah, blah, blah. I'll tell you this. We grew up in Pittsburgh, and I'd like to think that we were pretty involved in the Pittsburgh punk scene when we were younger.
We definitely were.
And I didn't know that fucking kid. So I don't know where he went to punk shows, but I never.
So he's from Pittsburgh?
Corey Graves is, yeah.
Where how old is he?
He's our age.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, dude, I never saw him.
Exactly.
I mean, he's the type of dude you'd probably recognize.
Or no, dude. How many of those people did we... we knew basically everyone. If you post...
We knew a ton.
If you posted on Pit Punk, we knew you. So...
Exactly. I mean, that and... I mean, we were pretty much at a lot of the bigger shows and stuff too, or playing at them.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd think we'd see the guy once or twice. And
Absolutely.
I mean, the people we knew a whole lot of people too.
Right.
We were hanging out at a lot of the party houses and stuff.
Dude,
I don't know how punk rock he really is.
We
Maybe
hung out at the Punk House in Pittsburgh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we hung out there almost every weekend. So
yeah.
The odds that we didn't come across this guy, I feel like, is slim to none. But whatever.
Every weekend and most weeknights, actually.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, so obviously, he just became punk rock in the last couple of years. I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much.
And now he's going to tell CM Punk about the punk lifestyle. I don't know.
Whatever. Corey Graves, you're great at commentary. Just stick to that.
Yeah, man. Just do your job. Stop.
Yeah, and just shut up.
Yeah.
Stop being a baby. Gosh. Get your panties in a bunch on Twitter. Moving on. Ronda Rousey, this week, Ric Flair on some senior moment said that her contract was only for 1 year, which was then quickly debunked, which basically, there are people saying that her contract is for longer than that, but she's saying that, she wants to have kids at some point in the next couple of years or so she may take a little bit of time off to do that. So she may work for a solid year, and then she may be out for a little bit if she decides to get knocked up.
I thought that we knew she had a 3-year deal.
Yeah, I was pretty certain about that too. I remember when it first came out that she was signing with them. I think most of the news places said that she'd signed for 3 years at least, and I imagine they'll extend that as well as long as everything goes as planned.
Right.
But Ric Flair, I mean, I wouldn't exactly call him an insider anymore. I mean, he's kind of on the outs right now. He's not, at TV constantly. And
yeah, he's healing up.
Yeah, I wasn't mean he's going to die soon. I was just saying he's not like an insider with like WWE.
Yeah, what I was saying is that, I feel like he would be more of an insider if he didn't just almost die,
Right, yeah. Anyways, James Ellsworth, as we talked about at our Money in the Bank prediction show, it's possible that he'll be back for Money in the Bank. Today, a Chinese promotion reported that Ellsworth was pulled from their event on Sunday that he was booked for. He apparently was unresponsive to them for 2 or 3 days as they were trying to arrange his travel, and he never got back to them. So they just said, okay, well, I guess you're not showing up.
Wow, that's pretty douchey of James Ellsworth, who,
It kind of is.
by all accounts, is a pretty nice guy.
Unless I'm thinking WWE was like, you need to keep this hush-hush because they want to make it a big surprise. But, you'd think he'd still be like, hey, I can't make it.
Hush-hush is fine, but you can't burn your bridges, especially when given his size and his, he's not a WWE main eventer. We both know that. So You're pretty much going to end up back on the indies in, 6 to 8 months. So, dude, don't burn your bridges. That's all.
I know. Especially once this, whatever they're bringing him back for. If he comes back, I imagine so. They cut him once with no rhyme or reason. He was still kind of involved in a storyline at the time as well.
Right.
And suddenly they're like, you're gone. Just out of nowhere. The Carmella thing it hadn't even run its course yet.
I feel like he, like I said, he's going to be back in the indies before you know it. So it's always wise to keep people happy.
Yeah, pretty much.
But, he might be getting a huge payday, so who knows?
Yeah, it's probably worth it, I imagine, if he's going back there again. Jeff Hardy this week pleaded guilty to his DWI and got his license suspended for 120 days. Sure, that doesn't affect him that much, considering the dude's super rich, and he should have just Ubered everywhere in the first place.
I think that he needs to just stop driving altogether, at least until he sobers up, probably.
Basically.
Or at least, look, be a regular dude who is smart enough to know, oh, I've had a few drinks, maybe I need to Uber home and pick up my car in the morning, like every other person has to.
Pretty much. Or just Uber there and Uber home if you know you're going to be drinking. It's not a difficult concept.
Ooh, brain. You're so brainy.
I'm using the brain today.
Hell yeah, man.
Just thinking out of the box for good old Hardy, the good old Enigma corn.
Right.
Let's see. Well, on a conference call this week for NXT TakeOver, Triple H was talking about how he was not in on the creative decision to split up AOP with Paul Ellering, and was also not a big fan of the move either. But he mentioned they're currently looking at a few things right now to bring Paul back to TV with NXT. So, man, it's not often that Triple H is like, yeah, I really hated that idea. So
yeah, Triple H is one of the few guys though that is not getting fired no matter what he says. So
No.
I feel like that's pretty rad of him to just say it. I don't know, like where do you see Paul Ellering going?
there's not many teams right now that he could fit in with on NXT, I don't think. I mean, most of the tag teams at least kind of have their own thing going on. Unless man, I mean you could pair him up with a singles, but I can't even think of who would be good for that. Maybe that Babatunde dude that's still coming up might be a good one. He's a bigger
that's
guy.
not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all.
We haven't seen a whole lot of him yet either. But most of the guys that are on TV consistently now, I don't think really need any help or any managerial services.
Well, you heard it here first.
Babatunde.
Babatunde.
Remember he was in the
He's
Greatest
getting a
Royal
manager.
Rumble?
We just broke that story.
Yeah,
I
he's
do.
getting
I
some
barely remember. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in there for such a short amount of time. I can't remember who threw him out. I think Braun did or some big dude. But anyways, speaking of returns, Jason Jordan, still talking about him coming back, but they're in talks to have him come back and feud with the man who finally embraced his baldness, Baron Corbin.
Yeah, that's. I mean, if anything, it'll be the crowd on Jason Jordan's side, right?
Oh, 100%.
Because
100%.
Baron Corbin's the worst, so obviously they won't be cheering for him.
I think Jason Jordan will work better as a babyface anyways. He just seems so babyface-ish to me, and he always has. I mean, even when he was trying to work the heel angle, he wasn't doing it.
I like him as a heel when he's acting like he doesn't get why people hate him. You know what I mean? Like he's like the oblivious heel.
Yeah, and I mean that worked for a little bit, but it was starting to just get annoying after a while because he's just, I don't know. He didn't seem really authentic to me when he did it.
I think that he is a great wrestler, so I'm stoked for him to wrestle again. I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know about his character either way, babyface or heel.
Yeah, I don't either. He's not a really strong guy on the mic. He just seems really calculated and robotic. I'm just kind of glad they're not going to bring him back and have him feud with Seth Rollins because I just don't think that would be a very good feud, to be honest.
Yeah, he needs a Heyman.
Pretty much. Speaking of which, Brock Lesnar, apparently not confirmed for SummerSlam or any other date in the future as previously reported. When's this dude coming back?
I don't know, dude.
Or maybe they're just trying to surprise us. And they're like, hey, he's actually going to be on SummerSlam. And they're not going to, like, do anything about it or say anything about it until after Extreme Rules. I don't know.
He's got to be on SummerSlam, right? I mean, that's...
Listen, it's reported that's when Heyman's contract is up for sure. And I don't think that Brock's going to show up without Heyman at all. Like, that's a deal breaker there. So if he doesn't come back by SummerSlam, he's just going to take the belt to his farm and leave it there for the rest of his life.
Do you think, honestly, we just don't get a title change?
Yup. No, I don't know. I hope he comes back for SummerSlam, and I really don't care who wins it at this point, because whoever wins it, if it's Roman Reigns, I don't think he's going to hold it for very long.
Yeah.
There are too many other guys that are way better than him that deserve it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like any of the top of the card at Raw right now. The one thing I can say is that at least there's a nice Intercontinental title picture.
Right. There's a lot of contenders for that. A lot of good matchups to be had.
Right.
You know, even some repeat good matchups that could be had. So, I mean, that's one. I mean, we don't have to worry about that going anywhere. You know, even if Elias wins it, which I think he will, at Money in the Bank.
Well, Brain, I got to say that you're probably, and by probably I mean definitely wrong, but I think that no matter who holds it, there are so many guys kind of in the mushy middle in WWE, and all of those guys are great. It almost makes me want Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar to stay at the top, because it's like, then I can watch the wrestling that I want and go to bed early every pay-per-view.
That's true. You don't have to stay up for the full 5 hours.
So it's like
you can skip the last 30.
it's a win-win.
It's true. And they usually put a terrible match on right before the main event
Hell
anyways.
yeah. Skip 2 matches.
Win, win, win.
Thanks, Brain.
You're welcome.
So,
next.
Yeah, man, you think there's a bidding war going on.
There's going to be. I think there's going to be a bidding war when Kenny and the Young Bucks contract is up with NJPW, which is in January 2019. BT Dubs. WWE, there's reports that WWE wants them to be the centerpiece to the new Fox and NBC deals that they have going on for next year. I can definitely see that happening. I can definitely see WWE trying to swoop in. They've got that money now.
Mm-hmm. They do.
They got some money to play with, and I think they could outbid NJPW.
They definitely can, but much like Fox, I think this is fake news because Kenny has said time and time again. First off, yeah, let's start with Kenny. Kenny cares more about the product in ring and about how he is portrayed and perceived as an artist and as a performer than he is about anything else, including money. He said this himself. Now, granted, I'm sure that when you get into the $5, $6, $7, $8 million range, that changes a person's tune. However,
it would change mine.
Yeah, sure. However, I really truly believe that Kenny has enough money where his primary focus, and if we both know if he goes to WWE, he's not going to get the push he's having now. He's not going to be the top guy like he is now. He will also not. He'll essentially lose creative control. And then he'll have to give up all of his pro wrestling tees money, all of his elite money, potentially.
True.
That's a lot of money to leave on the table. And that's where I'm going to bring up the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks, I think Pro Wrestling Tees announced that they were in the neighborhood of $5 million in payouts last year. You gotta believe that $4 million of that went to the Bullet Club, right? So
it's very possible.
Right.
Considering they sell their stuff exclusively. Besides, well, I guess now what is Hot Topic sells it too, but I imagine that's probably just a small portion of what they make off of those shirts because they probably get less money from Hot Topic than they would Pro Wrestling Tees.
You would think so, yeah. So anyway, the Young Bucks, the people I see as the better chance of becoming main event level talent are the Bucks, and simply because they're a tag team and they don't want to be split up. So they'll be able to hold the tag titles pretty much indefinitely, I feel like. And they'll be able to clash with the New Day and the Usos and have a bunch of amazing, great matches.
True.
But again, they're not going to be able to do the super kick shtick. They're not going to be able to do their over-the-top style as much.
That's true. They'd have to dull it down because they don't do as many high spots in WWE.
Right. All three of them would have to dumb it down. Yep. They'd have to slow their pace. They'd have to go according to Vince's master plan. And I just don't feel like they're going to want to, A, give up that creative control, B, work more dates, because, yeah, they might get more money, but it's going to be to work their asses off. And C, I really, really don't think that Kenny Omega is going to settle for any less than being the top guy.
It's very possible, but if they... I'm just going to play devil's advocate for a second because I agree with a lot of the points you made. Mm-hmm. If they are promised to be the top guys when they get in there, and there's no doubt that they would be fairly quickly. They'd have an AJ type rise because as soon as AJ joined up, he was, in title pictures. He was, doing things with the bigger guys in WWE.
Yeah, but remember, Jericho beat him at his first WrestleMania, and I truly think that until Vince saw him work and saw like, holy shit, this guy is a superstar, I don't think they plan to do anything with him.
Yeah, you're right. But at that time, I don't think that they were watching as much of the indies because NJPW wasn't as big at the time. ROH wasn't as big at the time. They've really gotten a lot bigger in the last 2 or 3 years since AJ's left. Not saying it was AJ's fault. I mean, he was definitely a big part in building those up. But I mean, you even saw.
I think Finn and KO and Sammy were all in the company before AJ.
Yeah, they were. They absolutely were. But, I mean, they came to WWE as well, and things have worked out pretty well for them. They don't seem to be too unhappy,
Which I can't imagine if you're Sami Zayn, how you could not be unhappy.
Oh, my God. The fact that he's still getting paid for the garbage he's been putting out every week.
Yeah, I guess that makes you pretty happy. I guess when those checks clear, your sadness goes away.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, I definitely understand your points. I mean, the Young Bucks, they'd have to do away with it being the elite thing on YouTube unless WWE was like, yeah, you can keep doing it.
Well, here's the problem. If you're going to keep doing it, then you have to either, A, also sign Marty Scurll, Cody, who definitely isn't going back, and who am I missing? Flip. Who else is on that show? Hangman. They'd have to sign all those people because they're not going to just let guys do. I'm shocked that they let the New Day and the Elite play video games together on TV today, that was social media today.
Yeah, that was crazy. But they've done it before. I think this is the third or fourth time they've done that. Well, at least
And I think the only reason that it's being allowed to happen is simply to make a good impression on Kenny and the Bucks.
Oh yeah,
and to keep that door open and to, kind of schmooze and, get in their good graces as WWE, and B, because it's on social media. And if it's not happening on USA, Vince doesn't care.
yeah, exactly. It's outside of everything else. Even though like WWE kind of endorses the up down down channel, he's never had anybody on there that's been outside of the WWE at all.
Yeah.
It's been all WWE folks and stuff on there. So I mean, it was cool to see all of them together today. Watching that, I watched through pretty much the entire thing, and Kenny definitely had some deep burns on the New Day guys with WWE. Oh man. Talking about how everything they have is scripted. He called them basically just mid-carders.
See, and that's the thing is like how can a guy that says that? I mean, I get that they're kidding and that it's all in fun, but how could a guy like that want to like? One thing about Kenny is he's a smart dude, and he knows that WWE basically threw him away before.
True.
And, I feel like he gets it. Like, he knows what happens to wrestlers when they go to that place. And, dude, let's not kid ourselves. Those guys are all friends. They're definitely friends with Finn. They're definitely friends with AJ.
Oh, totally.
They're definitely friends with Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. So they get it. They get, let's not pretend these guys don't crosstalk.
Right. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of, I mean, if there was any in, those guys would be the in, and it would be kind of like their happy path. But at the same time, it's hard for me to see them leave everything that they are doing right now. You know, the being elite thing, they do so well on YouTube with that. Not to mention they have Cody probably in their ear saying, this is what you're going to deal with if you go there.
Look at Cody, man. He could have been, I mean, I don't know what your feelings about the character Cody Rhodes was or were, but when he almost won Money in the Bank and Damian Sandow beat him, the crowd was going insane. And then when they had the Gold Dust Cody Rhodes tag team, when they beat the Shield, the crowd went insane. Like, Cody got over basically everything he did. Yep. And I feel like he deserved better than what he got there.
Yeah, the stupid Stardust gimmick. Oh, that was bad. It's hard for me to even watch that and know that it was him.
Yeah, man. It's terrible.
Like I try to kind of separate the two. Like, oh, that's Stardust, and then here's actually Cody Rhodes.
Right.
So I mean that was so dumb. But I guess we'll see what happens. I mean, I can definitely see both sides of it. Maybe they want to have a nice cushy bunch of $1 million without having to do all the legwork that they have to do right now. Because they're doing a lot of their own stuff behind the scenes, working T-shirt designs,
right?
And, working on putting those videos and everything together. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of work that goes into it. I know they don't work as many dates as WWE guys do right now, but I imagine they have a 6 or 7 day a week job just keeping up with the other things they do to make money right now.
I honestly think that when NXT was, I call it the heyday, but kind of having that boom when everyone was kind of coming in at first, I really think that part of it was, part of the pitch was like, hey, we're not going to pay you as much off the bat, but look, we're the big company, we're the big dogs. Come here and you earn legitimacy, right? You have the potential to make as much, limitless potential to earn millions, right?
Sounds like a pyramid scheme.
Exactly, but it's like, I don't think that cachet works anymore because that gap is slowly starting to close. You know what I mean? The Bucks are probably making as much as an average mid-level star in WWE, if not more.
Yeah.
Cody
definitely.
says he makes more now than he did, and he works less. So that gap of like what you can make on the indies is slowly closing. Back in the day when guys were making pennies, anyone would have given anything to be in WWE. I just don't think that's the case anymore. I think these guys are earning a living and they're happy.
Yeah, and that's really all it comes down to. And they have freedom over their schedules. They can do the shows they want to do.
Yep.
They can do, if they just want to do the big shows, they can just do the big shows. I mean, look at Jericho now. He basically can hop in wherever he wants to. He's pretty firm on not working in the United States at all. He was pretty clear on that this week. He was talking about how he did not want to do the the show they have at the Cow Palace of the G1, I think, at the Cow Palace, because it was in the United States, which he said is kind of like Vince McMahon's territory. He doesn't want to infringe on that and burn that bridge. So he said as long as he's in Japan, or wherever else outside the United States, totally fine. He doesn't have any problem doing those. But
Exactly.
He just doesn't want to burn the bridge.
Yeah, and look, dude, Chris Jericho's not a dumb guy. He's actually one of the greatest of all time, and he gets it. He sees what's happening in Japan, and he's like, look, when in the annals of history, when people write about who was the greatest of this era, it's not going to be Roman Reigns. I'm sorry to say, but when people, the way that we talk about, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, that's how people are going to be talking about Omega and Okada. And I feel like Jericho gets it, and he's smart and he's savvy, and he's like, well, I got to get over there and get, I want to stay in the history books. He already is, of course, for his various runs and title reigns, and let's face it, there was a time for a while when he was the best wrestler in WWE as well. But I feel like now he sees what's happening and where the wellspring of talent is, and he's got to be a part of it.
Yeah, he just wants to kind of stay on top of everything that's going on, at least as long as he can. I mean,
Sure.
I imagine it feels to me like he kind of has a wish list of matches he'd like to have, and anytime he can get into them, he's going to. Kind of like Cody did, but I'm sure Jericho...
Right.
Jericho didn't publicize or anything, but it looks that way, since he's already had, he had his Naito match.
Maybe that's what the list was all this time.
It could be. No, that probably was the list.
When he was like, you just made the list. He wasn't even writing that person's name. He was actually writing like Kenny Omega, Naito.
Probably Okada. I mean, it'll be interesting to see kind of how all that shapes up over the next few months. I guess we'll find out early next year what happens. I won't be surprised either way, just because Kenny's getting older.
Sure.
If he's kind of in his prime right now.
Yeah, this is his big run for sure, and that's why I feel like if he's going to WWE, it has to be within the next 2 years. Yeah,
absolutely, and he'll miss that boat if it's any longer than that. For sure.
Well, maybe he'll miss it in 5, but I feel like if he wants to be big box office star, it's got to be the next 2 to 3.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely true. So I guess let's hop right in and talk about Dominion since that happened.
How many stars did? First off, Kenny Omega, congratulations! You are my favorite wrestler, and I've been waiting for this for a long time.
This is the first time he's won the title, isn't it?
Yep.
Hopefully, it lasts a while. I don't think it'll last as long as Okada's did, but.
No, not at all. It won't, for sure.
No. But yeah, he beat Okada in 64 minutes. He scored 2 pinfalls. Both times beat him with the one-winged angel. And Wrestling Jesus gave this match 7 stars out of a possible 5. So, yeah, great system he's got there.
What a superfluous scale. Like, at what point does this become totally irrelevant, like, just ridiculous?
I think we're there. There. I mean, at this point, he should just increase the scale to 10 stars. But then he'd probably just retroactively give this match a 15. So that's what he does. The match was great. I got to watch it.
Oh my God. Fantastic match.
It was insane.
Where do you draw the line is the question. I have no qualm. Look, if you want to, it's like giving it 7 stars is like, well, why not give it 100 stars? Like, what does it matter? You know what I mean? Like, it's already plus 100%. Why not give it 100 out of 5 stars? Why not give it, 100 stars, a purple unicorn, a pink rainbow? Like what does it matter? give it whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't. And listen, it's all magic numbers at this point.
Right.
It matters not.
There just becomes a point where language becomes meaningless when you over dramatize it. If everything is hyperbole, especially, I mean, no offense to look, I have no qualms with Wrestling Jesus, but if everything New Japan does is above 5 stars, then like what is the scale? Like, what is the meaning of the scale?
It doesn't mean anything at all. I mean, I think at this point it doesn't even mean anything. Like he said this was the greatest match he's ever seen, and he said there will be probably never a match like it ever again. Which, I mean, there will be. It's not going to happen in WWE, but it could happen outside. It could happen outside for sure.
Who do you think gives us the first 8-star match out of 5?
It's going to be Kenny Omega against Okada again.
Oh, okay. Well, fair enough.
It's the only one that seems
guess.
to get over a 5.5 or whatever. I think their last match he gave us 6.25 stars. maybe.
What is the quarter for? It's already over 100%.
You know, he really screwed this all up when he started rating things 5 stars to begin with. Because if you look at, let's look at figure skating, for example, something else that's scored on a scale of 1 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
If you rate something at 10, if someone does it better, there's nowhere to go. You can't give them a 10.5 at that point because they have a hard and fast, this is it, 10. That's as many points as you can give somebody. You know, so he should have been like, all right, the best matches get like a 4.9. You know, don't use stars.
So what he should do is probably Okay, so he should change this to 5 out of 5 and then retroactively go back in time.
Yes.
And then change everything, like adjust everything accordingly. So if this match made, let's say, Brett and Owen in the cage look small in comparison, then what you need to do is say, well, maybe Owen and Brett is no longer a 5-star match. Maybe it's a 4-star match.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. I don't know how Wrestling Jesus thinks, but...
Listen, you're making sense to me. You're making sense to me at this point.
It's just like, at some point, it's like, when do we start giving out fairies and unicorns?
We're there. I think that's the next thing he's going to have to give out because he's running out of stars at this point.
Like, how many stars can there be?
He's borrowing stars from other matches to add to this one.
Ugh.
It's insane.
He's borrowing all the stars from Raw.
Yeah, basically. All the stars that Raw's not getting went to the Kenny and Okada match.
He's just taking them over. He put them all in a bag and took them to Dominion. That's what's happening. He took all the leftover stars from WWE shows, and he's taking them over to Japan.
Oh, man. Well, the other match we got, well, a couple of the other matches we got, the bigger ones I'm kind of going to run through. Jericho beat Naito and
Do you know how many, so how many stars did this get?
4.75.
Okay, well, at least that's at least on the scale, so I can appreciate that.
It is at least on the scale, but I think he was trying to make a point where he was like, Kenny Okada is way better than everything else that's ever been
and
done.
It was. I mean, it was. It was a better match, but I don't know about history. I don't know. It's hard to judge history because there was a time when I grew up watching wrestling where a guy in yellow spandex just threw a bunch of punches and fell on a guy. You know what I mean?
That's true. No, it was 2 punches, big boot, off the ropes, leg drop, pin. Boom.
Right.
Every single match.
How many stars did those matches get?
Probably like -2.
All right, fair enough.
But yeah, Jericho beat Naito and then continued to beat up Naito after he'd already won. So Jericho is now the Intercontinental title holder, which is crazy. I didn't think it would happen, honestly. I thght he was just there to put Naito over.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Listen, Jericho's the king of the swerve right now.
Yeah.
That's what he does. What do you think about his new gimmick with the face paint?
I don't mind it. I think, look, I feel like it was a Japanese thing that he did. You know, it's kind of like a history of wrestling buff, but I'm not a huge fan. I will say that I think that Chris Jericho is probably not my favorite wrestler, but one of the most entertaining wrestlers right now because he's just unpredictable.
I think, honestly, he's been one of the most entertaining of all time. If you look back at all the different, all the good promos he's had over the years, all the good matches he's had over the years, the dude really hasn't put on that many bad matches at all, if you look back in his career.
It's funny because people ask me my favorite wrestler of all time, and I instinctively immediately say Bret Hart because I just have such a childhood attachment to him. You know what I mean?
Yep, same.
But when you stack up his career against Jericho, it's like,
it pales in comparison.
I wouldn't say pales. I think that they both had a lot of great matches, but man, I really think that Jericho could be number one.
I think for the difference between the two, Bret Hart could cut a good promo, but he kept to the same gimmick forever.
Sure, and he was slow. I feel like his promos got really good towards the end, but I feel like he was a slow starter for sure.
Right, he definitely was. And Jericho was like in it right out of the gate.
Right,
and he changed things up every couple of years. He was always staying fresh. He always had some new catchphrase that would instantly be over. The crazy things he's come up with over the years. The dude's gotten one of the biggest pops ever the first time he came out on Raw. I mean, he's just one of those guys that there won't be many others like him.
He outshone The Rock. I mean, for just a night, he outshined The Rock in what was basically The Rock's era in The Rock's ring.
Yeah, and that's not something anybody can do.
Right.
I mean, there aren't many that have done that at all. So, but yeah, I was psyched to see you won, to be honest, mostly because it caught me by surprise. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" But yeah, that was a great match too. I mean, Jericho still looks great. I mean, he's looking a little heftier, probably because he just got off the road with his band and was probably just sitting on a bus constantly and drinking heavily. But moving on, I guess the other really big match, I'm just covering like the 3 big title matches. Young Bucks beat Evil and Sonata for the heavyweight tag titles too. The only thing I don't like about this is, I mean, they just joined the heavyweight division, and they're putting the belts on them already. I mean, it's kind of quick.
Yeah, I feel like it's just a matter of the fact that they are just the hottest thing in wrestling,
True. That's true. I mean, there's no really other explanation for it. They get people to shows. All they have to do is put their name on it, and people will be there.
If a true draw is such a rare thing in wrestling right now that, like, it's like Hogan, man. You got to just put the strap on them and let it ride.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see. So after the, I forgot to touch on this, but after the Kenny Omega match, the Young Bucks came down and congratulated him, and they hugged, and they like kind of put him up on their shoulders, and seemed like all was forgotten and forgiven. And Cody kind of came down the aisle and just looked and then turned around and went back. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I have a feeling that they're going to move away from the Bullet Club since their elite thing is working so well now.
So you think the elite will be
like that faction?
That faction plus Kota Ibushi, I assume.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And then Bullet Club will be Cody and whoever.
Cody, Skrull, Hangman Page, and then all the other random ones like Chase Owens, and I mean, there's a lot of other little. Who is that new the Bone Soldier guy?
Tama Tonga.
Yeah, all the ones you don't really see that often that are like in the Bullet Club, but you don't really recognize them, and they aren't as.
They just wear Bullet Club shirts.
Basically, they're in it for the merch money.
And when they come out, when they're on Access TV, you're like, oh yeah, that guy.
Oh yeah, he's on there. Yeah, because one of the Chase Owens guy has been showing up to the indie promotion here. He's done a couple of shows here. And they, of course, announced him as Chase Owens from the Bullet Club. And everyone sees Bullet Club, they're like, oh, Bullet Club. But then you see the guy and you're like, I have no idea who this is. I've never seen him before. But I guess he's starting to do a little bit.
You saw the match, though, right? You went to that show.
Yeah, he actually, well, there wasn't a match. He came in and
Oh, I thought he wrestled.
He did wrestle. I missed the show he wrestled. He wrestled against, oh gosh, I can't remember the dude's name. And he won the TV title. In this promotion here, PWX. So
I wonder how these guys keep track of their belts.
Dude, I don't know. And apparently he was supposed to show up to the last show, and he cut some kind of cell phone promo saying, he'll decide when he shows up to things. He doesn't let them make matches for him and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I guess he's supposed to be on the next show here.
Are you going?
I'm not sure. I can't remember when it is. I try to make it to him because, I mean, seats are relatively cheap. You can get like front row for $20. So.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, dude!
It's not bad.
I do that all day.
And the matches are usually really good. I mean, I think the last time I went, there were 10 matches, and I would say 7 of them were really great to watch. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a really good promotion. They get some good folks in here. Sue Young, she wrestled last time I was there. Also, Tessa.
I feel like you mention her every single time that you talk about going to indie shows.
Yeah, she's at a lot of them here.
Be honest with me, Brain. Is there something going on with you and Sue Young?
Man, I wish there was.
Wow.
Outside of the makeup, she's fairly attractive.
Rich Swann.
I don't care.
You need to know, brother.
We don't say that name in my presence.
That someone is coming for your girl.
With his stupid new haircut. He's like half bald.
Someone who doesn't scare women out of the car, potentially.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I'll listen. It was just allegation, but let's be honest.
The brain knows how to treat a lady right, Sue.
You damn right.
So.
I know you're a listener, Sue. So hit me up, girl.
He doesn't listen. right?
Exactly. So I think that's about all I want to cover with Dominion. I mean, there were a few other matches. I didn't get to catch all of them because it was on super early. And I happened to catch those 3 matches, the Bucks, the Jericho match, and the Kenny match. So I don't want to talk about stuff I haven't seen.
All right, fair enough.
I'll probably go back and watch it when I get a chance to. God. Well, it's time to move to Raw. The F show now.
Oh, good.
I mean, are there even that many shows? It just needs to be the F show regardless.
Right.
I literally am going to skim through these. So
Yeah, go ahead.
the show opened up with all the Money in the Bank participants on ladders. That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen since the last time they did it last year when they opened the show with everybody on ladders. I was so thankful they didn't do that on SmackDown.
Yep. Good times.
Yeah, basically. So then, first match we get Ember, Sasha, Alexa, and Natalya in Fatal 4-Way, and Natalya gets the win on this. And this is, I don't say this often, but I really liked Alexa and Ember's work in this match. I feel like Alexa's gotten a lot more, I don't know, a lot better in the ring. It seemed like.
I have no qualms with Alexa, and I have no qualms with really anyone that was in this match. This is, I feel like, one of the better things that happened because I feel like everything after it sucked. So by comparison, this was just great.
Yeah, it was.
But the KO Finn segment was whatever.
Yeah. It was the Roman backstage. I mean,
Roman sucks. I don't even care.
And newsflash, I hate Roman again this week because he was all robotic with his promo. And, forget what I said last week when I was like, I kind of like him again. As soon as Seth Rollins goes away, I hate him again. So there's that.
Like when I don't mind when he's wrestling. I just don't want him to talk ever.
That's the thing. If he could stop talking, we'd be all right.
Yeah, just go out and kick some ass, bro. And change that stupid guard uniform.
Yeah.
Breezango, Ziggler, McIntyre.
Yeah, of course Ziggler McIntyre won. But Fandango got a new haircut. He cut his hair short. And Tyler Breeze has a sweet new beard. So that was the highlight of that match.
I guess. Jinder and Roman didn't happen.
And Roman and Sunil Singh lasted all of a minute.
Who cares?
B-Team
beats Slater and Rhino.
Again.
Who didn't see that coming.
Yeah,
right?
for like the 15th week in a row. We got the Elias in-ring promo. And
did you see what new guitar he got?
Yes. Yeah, it was airbrushed with like the Intercontinental belt on it. I can't even remember what. Okay. I think it was a Fender, like a Fender acoustic. Okay. So it wasn't a really expensive one that Seth Rollins destroyed.
Okay. I gotcha.
Let's see. We get Bayley versus Ruby Riott. Ruby got the pin on that one.
Yay!
Which I've heard again that they're still looking to push her. So it may happen after Money in the Bank, I guess, depending on who comes out with the title. We'll see. I think Ruby and Asuka would make for some good matches.
That would be fun. Yeah. I honestly, I'm not all in on Ruby, but I'm like 70% in on Ruby right now. So
she's had a couple of lackluster matches lately, but I don't think they were her fault. I think it was more of her opponents. Because Bayley hasn't really looked that great recently either. So
yeah.
We get that stupid Ronda and Nia face-off thing. That was dumb.
I'm yawning so much right now.
Yep. More yawning. No way Jose and Kurt Hawkins. No way Jose beats Kurt Hawkins.
Life is just unfair, man.
It is.
Did you see the ESPN article on Kurt Hawkins?
Yes, I did. The poor guy. I mean, at least he's getting some press.
There you go.
And he's been on TV since this losing streak might be the best thing that could happen in his career because now he's getting on TV. He wasn't before.
Here's the thing: if the losing streak is followed immediately by a winning streak, then it's all worth it, right? But if it's just like if his gimmick now is that he just sucks, then I don't know, man. I'm not that excited about that.
Speaking of sucks, Lashley did an obstacle course.
Dude, what the hell?
Every week, I swear to God, every week there's some sort of stupid Lashley segment that I don't want to talk about, but I have to. It's like that really bad like arm break or something that just looks terrible, but you can't look away because you're like, oh my God, what is it?
It's like hideous.
That's
looking.
Basically it. Yeah, it's hideous, and I mean it's just an abomination every single week, and Sami Zayn are just delivering it to us on just a platter. It's just
what are they thinking?
Here's a giant plate of shit. Enjoy it. You're going to eat it regardless because we're going to keep doing this until this feud ends. Because apparently we're back in the Attitude Era again where we do stupid obstacle courses and, what's next? Are they going to have a lingerie match next week? Or
I honestly, at this point, if they put Lashley in lingerie and made him wrestle, I would not even be surprised.
Yeah, I'd pop for that.
I bet you'd pop.
Uh-huh. All right. And the last match we got KO versus Rude versus Balor versus Strowman. And, of course, Braun pins KO again. And that ends Raw, thank God. And I'm done talking about it.
Yeah, let's move on.
Let's move on to better shows. Smackdown Live, they were actually not bad this week. Sin Cara was apparently not cleared to wrestle Almas this week. And found out it actually is a legit injury. So he really was not cleared to wrestle, which is why they didn't have their match, which made me super sad.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been a nice win for Almas, but I feel like there are a bunch of other guys you could plug into that program, to be honest.
Yeah, that's why I don't understand why they didn't just give him somebody else.
You know Kalisto was in the back. Why not just throw him out there?
No, don't do that. So we first up we get this weird women's summit thing, which actually wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
Okay. You didn't think that was bad?
Listen. Let's compare to Raw.
Okay, fair enough.
Listen, the bar's set real low at this point.
Sure.
The bar's real low. You can't go anywhere but up.
When's the last time the two Conics were even on TV before this?
It's been a couple of weeks at least. I think they usually have a short little 1 minute promo thing and that's it. They haven't wrestled in 2 weeks. I think since Peyton Royce lost to Lana for the Money in the Bank spot. But speaking of Lana, she her accent's gone now, so there's that.
Cool, I guess.
She's no longer Russian. Maybe it's starting to signal a face turn for her and Rusev.
Maybe, I don't know.
It's looking that way because the interview that Rusev cut after his match too, they did a backstage WWE exclusive, online exclusive interview, and he was super nice and not heelish at all.
He seems like a nice guy in real life, so.
Oh, he totally. I've seen him on the Up Up Down Down channel quite a bit, and he's hilarious on there. Yeah. They did a FIFA tournament last year, and he would just wreck people on it. And
really?
Oh, he's so funny. Yes, you have to go back and watch it because he the first match he has in FIFA is against Roman Reigns.
Oh, good.
And so he beats Roman Reigns, and he's like, if you watch the channel, everyone on the channel has their own name, their kind of gamer tag type name. Mm-hmm. So I can't remember what his was originally, but after he beat Roman Reigns, he's like, I'm now changing my gamer tag name to Roman Reigns because Roman Reigns never loses. He beats everybody.
That's awesome.
Oh, I died. It was so good. So good. But yeah, we get a bunch of people to come out for the Women's Summit thing, which basically sets up a 900-woman tag match for later in the night. Let's see. I'm not even exagerating.
Oh, I know.
That's legit. They just kept adding women. It's funny because someone on Twitter is like, oh, why don't they just go ahead and add 2 more women and just make it a 10-woman tag? And literally 2 minutes later, they're like, Asuka and Carmella have been added to the 8-woman tag to make it a 10-woman tag, the biggest women's tag match we've ever had.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Whew. Jeez. I mean, if you want to give them all TV time, I guess that's the way to do it.
Yep.
At that point, they should have just made it a battle royal and called it a day.
Agreed.
So next we get Daniel Bryan versus Shelton Benjamin. Totally expected Big Cass to come out. Didn't happen. Daniel Bryan got the win.
Just a
submission.
clean as a sheet.
Yeah, basically. We already talked about Asuka setting up the 10-woman tag. And Miz and Paige had a quick backstage segment where Miz is apparently starring in a movie called Rough Ref. Not true. But she basically puts him in the match as the special guest referee with Samoa Joe and Rusev.
Awesome.
So then we get a Jerry Lawler and AJ promo because they were in Memphis. You got to bring out the King.
Hell yeah.
He honestly, I miss him on interviews.
Oh, dude.
He's so good.
He's a good talker. He's always been one of the best talkers.
Yeah, he's fantastic. When he got in there, I'm like, oh man. I like Renee Young, but she just seems like she's out of place most of the time. Because she kind of is. I mean, this wasn't, her plan.
I actually
But
like
Jerry
Renee
Lawler
Young a lot. I just don't think that.
I
I
do
just feel
too.
like this worked for what it was, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I like Lawler. He does well.
Yeah.
I mean, Renee Young does great too. Her talking smack, I wish they'd bring it back because she was awesome on there.
Dude, how great
because
was
she
that?
had more freedom. Yeah, she had more freedom. When she has more freedom to do her thing, she's great at it.
Right.
When she's on a script, like when they do those backstage interview segments, everyone really seems robotic, with the exception of like Samoa Joe
Right.
and The Miz. But anyways, next we get Rusev versus Samoa Joe. Joe had a new haircut as well. This, I swear to God, there must have been a hairdresser at TV for Monday Night Raw and SmackDown because everyone had new haircuts this week.
No, I feel like this is what always happens is that for some reason Vince just has a gripe about something that week and he's like, cut your hair. Everyone cut their hair.
Everybody
Everybody's
cut
cutting
their hair.
Yeah.
You grow a beard.
Right.
Corbin, it's bald time. It's bald time. Too many people talking on Twitter about you being bald. Oh,
Right.
it's time. Just give it up, man. Give it up. The hair's got to go.
Right. Absolutely.
You got to look more. You got to look more constable-like. Constables don't have long black flowy hair.
I love it. You gotta go. If you want to see like a real time how long it takes media to get to Vince McMahon, you just saw it. Like the duration of the time that people have been making fun of Baron Corbin's hair until now is how long it takes him to get the message.
What, 3 years maybe?
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
At least.
Get back in your bubble, Vince.
Yeah, hop back in. Now you've been out for a minute. You see what's going on, and now make those changes.
Yep.
So yeah, Joe got beat by Rusev when the Miz interfered, and it was a half decent match. It could have gone longer for my liking, but I'd like to see more of those two. Let's see. Next we get Hardy versus Nakamura.
Whatever.
The low blows back, ladies and gentlemen. It took a short hiatus, but it's back. Is that this concerns me a little bit. Makes me think that Nakamura is going to lose at Money in the Bank, and then he's going to start a feud with Hardy, and he's going to win because they love putting the United States Championship on
foreign
people
nemesis
that aren't from the United States.
Yeah.
Look at Rusev. I mean, there's been so many over the years.
Yep.
Kevin Owens, who's from Canada.
I think you said that wrong.
Canada, sorry.
There you go. Dude,
Yeah, there
you
you
like
go.
read my mind.
bad.
That was pretty good.
Yeah. We get a couple of stupid backstage segments from long lost lovers, Carmella and Big Cass, separate segments, both equally terrible in their own right. And then we get the 900 woman tag.
Did you love it?
Oh God, it was entertaining.
Okay. Wow.
It was entertaining.
That's more than I thought
I'll
you were
say
going to
that.
give it.
Yeah, I mean there's just too many to keep track of
Mm-hmm.
at that point, and it kind of loses its luster when you add that many in.
Sure.
But I found it interesting that they had Asuka beat Carmella. Of all the other women in there, that's the direction they went.
That's because she's not going to win at the pay-per-view.
That's likely.
That was the wink and the nod, which means I'm going to keep my belt.
Because no, I still think Asuka's going to win. I still think she is.
I think you be wrong.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the B show. This week it was the B show.
Wow.
We had 205 Live. Dude, NXT was the A show this week. Let's be honest.
Really?
Dude, this is the best NXT they've had in a month when we get to it. My take.
Okay.
It's a hot one. It's a hot one. Served it up hot. Well, it starts out, we find out Hideo Itami is not permitted to be on the show because of last week's actions, obviously.
Well, he is a vicious heel there, Brain.
He's so vicious. I am not in the least bit scared of that man. But opening match, we get the Lucha House Party versus Gallagher, Kendrick, and Gulak.
Yep.
And they came out with a piñata that had Gulak's face on it.
And then
Finally,
Gulak
note here was
and then Gulak failed
sad.
to win.
Yeah, but he didn't lose really because he wasn't the one that took the pin.
He was on the losing team though, so
I mean, technically he was, but I mean, he had one of the best matches of anyone in there.
yeah,
He had some good
I mean,
offense.
He's always
and-
great.
He is. But Dorado pins Kendrick while holding his tight, so it wasn't even like a legit win.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of a heelish win. Then we get Drake and Murphy, a quick backstage segment with them, basically just talking about how he wants to fight Itami. And then we get an Ali cell phone promo who basically says he wants to fight a Tommy.
Yep.
And sets up their match for later in the night, his match later in the night with Ali and Nice. Then we get Tozawa versus Steve Irby. I guess they're working on building up Tozawa again after he got knocked down by a Tommy.
Right.
And he fought Steve Irby, who apparently is the king of the moonsault, of which we did not get to see.
Right.
And his tights definitely said Joey on them for some reason. So
Yeah, that's his. I think that's his real name because he wrestles on the Indies.
yeah, most likely. I was gonna say he had really nice ring gear for a jobber. Usually the jobbers get thrown out there in like plain black tights, and they're like, "There you go, have fun."
I think he wrestles for another promotion. I mean, obviously he wrestles for another promotion, but
Totally.
I think he's hey man, he's the king of the moonsault. He's probably getting a big push.
Apparently, he looked terrible in the ring. Oh man. Like every single move Tozawa was about to execute on him, he would telegraph it. Like you could see his hands go up like 2 seconds before kicks were coming at his face. Like he was not smooth about it whatsoever. It just looked bad.
Yeah, whatever. I mean,
Yeah,
this was like a nothing match for me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it kind of was. Then we get our Nice backstage promo right before the match with Ali. And then we get that match. Murphy was in Nice's corner. Cedric was in Ali's corner. They kind of went at it at one point. Ali ends up getting the pin because Tony Nese can't win on 205 Live. He hasn't won in a year.
Yep.
At least.
Yep.
For a dude that's that cut and that big, you'd think he'd put together some more wins, or you think they'd, think more of him. And he looked a lot better in the ring than he has in the past, to be honest with you.
I think he's really good. I think you're right. Like the build that he has, I feel like is the build that they're looking for. The problem is he's about 2 feet too short, I think.
That's true. That's true. But I mean, he's on 205. I think the issue that they're having now, or that he's having, is that Buddy Murphy, I mean, they're both very similar in look, but not in style. Like Buddy Murphy's a much better wrestler than Tony Nese is.
Yeah.
So I think that's where he kind of falls short.
Hell yeah, man. I agree. Buddy Murphy is the man. And look, I like Tony Nese. I feel like he falls short in that he is shorter.
Indeed. Ali gets the pin with the 054 and then has a promo afterwards calling out Buddy Murphy and Tommy for a triple threat set up for next week. And that's it for 205.
Okay, hang on 1 second. I got to let my dog out before he scratches.
All right, cool. So then we get to the A show of the week, NXT.
A show of the week.
Yeah, we'll kick it off with the War Raiders versus Jobbers, Ricky Martinez and Justin Storm. Mm-hmm. They had the pin. And was that
an A show moment for you?
They looked a lot better in the ring than they have the last couple of times they've wrestled, because I think they were in there a little bit longer.
Gotcha.
But I want to see them in there against someone legit, which I think they're getting TM61 next week. So that'll be at least a little more interesting, considering they've given TM61 a push the last month or so.
And like to be fair, I'm not a huge TM61 fan, but at least those guys can like move,
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be a good showing. I'm sure it'll be a longer match. And not to mention, this will be coming after a takeover as well. So this will probably be one of the highlighted matches, because other than that, they're just going to show a bunch of video packages next week.
For sure.
As they do after most takeovers. So then we get EC3 versus Cassius Ohno. I knew the sigh was coming. I'll tell you what, man. Ohno literally had 90% of the offense.
That's every single match he's in, though. Like, he beats the piss out of the guy and then loses every single time. That's exactly what happened with Ciampa. He beat him for like literally 90% of the match and still lost. Yep.
I guess that's his thing now. He stays strong for 90% and then he makes one mistake, quote unquote, and ends up getting hit with their finisher and getting pinned.
It's upsetting is all.
It is. I do quite like EC3 though. He's growing on me more and more.
I love EC3. I loved him from the second he stepped into the NXT arena. I don't know about his finish, but I feel like I could say that about most of WWE's roster too, so whatever.
Yeah. I think we've talked about that in the past, and that it's like a finisher that so many people have done, but You know, it is what it is. I like the dude. He cuts good promos, and he's good in the ring as well. I like him more. He was on ENC's pod last week.
Yeah, right.
And he was great to listen to on there, just like hearing how he actually is. Nothing like his character at all.
Right.
Which is crazy. But then we get Bianca Belair versus Aaliyah, and Bianca got the pin on this one. She impressed me more than anybody this week.
Yeah, she's a good wrestler. She was good in the Women's Classic.
Yeah, well, in a lot of cases, she gets these really crappy matches that she gets set up with.
Right.
You know, I think she wrestled Lacey Evans a few weeks back.
Sure.
And it just didn't look great, didn't impress me that much. But this week, she impressed me. I feel like she's going to be getting a push soon, which we kind of allude to that later.
She is extremely athletic. And look, I don't know anyone who's getting in line to wrestle Aaliyah particularly, but it was a good match.
It was. And Aaliyah looked good, and she usually doesn't either. I think it was mostly because of Bianca.
Yeah, sometimes it's just chemistry, you know.
It is. Yeah, I like her finisher too, that sit-out facebuster she does.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got a lot going for her, and the commentators are really putting her over in the match too, so it really makes me think that she's going to kind of be a next in line for a title shot.
Go ahead. Sorry.
It's one thing I can't figure out. Is she a heel or a baby? I can't figure out which side she's on.
I think she is. They're slowly turning babyface with her. I really think that she's best when she's a heel because she whips people with that.
The hair.
You know, that move. Yeah.
She hasn't done that recently. She's kind of moved away from it. I mean, you can see at the beginning of the match, she even like rolled the hair up into a bun. I guess
I feel like that's like part of her. I don't know. I feel like that's part of her deal.
Yeah, her gimmick. Yeah. But yeah, good match. Then you get a backstage promo with Dakota Kai, and as per usual, someone interrupts. You know, every single Dakota Kai promo ever. Bianca interrupts, and they set up a match between those two next week, which should be a good one.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
I'm pretty sure Bianca's going to win that one, though. If I was to predict.
And
then we get...
I think Dakota Kai can take losses, though. You know, I don't think it matters.
Yeah, she can. Yeah, she definitely can.
Because she's gonna be the next Bailey. I think like they'll just have her lose and lose and lose, and then when they're ready for the big push, that's when they'll start having her win.
Yeah, she reminds me a lot of Bailey. Actually, that's a pretty good comparison.
That's my top flight analysis for you, bud.
That was excellent.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Then finally, we get Kyle O'Reilly versus Pete Dunne. Which was an awesome match. I mean, what more can you say about that? It was great. It was fantastic to watch those two in the ring. I mean, two like master technicians going at it back and forth, like trying to get submission moves back and forth. I mean, it was great. It was great to watch. I would love to see 30 minutes of that.
Yeah, I agree. So
Pete Dunne gets the win because this was for the UK title. And then he was attacked by Adam Cole and Roddy Strong, and then Lorcan and Birch come out, and, you know, that whole thing happens again. Kind of like every week.
Yeah, Pete Dunne is totally awesome. I think there's a good chance that he could be the next North American champion.
Maybe. I wonder if he's going to lose. The UK tournament is the Monday after. No, it's not. It's next week. It's next weekend. I'm wondering if he's going to lose the belt. I mean, he's held it for almost a year now. So, I mean, I guess it's going to depend on who wins. But
I guess like in my mind, I see him losing at the UK tournament to the winner and then getting the North American title.
Off of Cole.
Yeah, because then that puts Cole in line, brother.
That's true. Or it puts him in line, in line to move up.
That puts him in line for that Aleister Black gold.
Oh, that'd be a good feud.
Heck yeah.
I'd like to see that.
It was a great match when it happened with the No Holds Barred or whatever it was last time.
That's true. Yeah, I just don't. This Aleister and Lars match, I don't think is going to be great. I'm not into it. Nope. Let's see. Finally, we get Aleister with an in-ring promo, and I have a question for you on this. Do you think he'd work better as a heel? Because he doesn't convince me as a babyface.
I think he works best as what he is, which is like methodical and mysterious. I don't necessarily think he's trying to be a face or a heel. But I feel like there's no room for him to be a heel right now, because one thing NXT has is just a ton of, like, I feel like their roster is pretty set. You know what I mean? Like,
That's true.
everyone, like, look at the heels they have. The heels that they have, I say, are top flight. The faces are not, however.
No.
So here's the heel rundown is Ciampa,
Yep.
Adam Cole, EC3, Velveteen Dream,
Yep. Lars Sullivan.
Undisputed Era. I don't know if Lars Sullivan is trying to be a heel, but sure, like, we'll call him a heel.
Oh, he's
a big,
definitely a
scary
heel.
wrecking ball.
Yeah, he's definitely a heel.
Shayna Baszler, like, those are all good heels.
Yep.
And then when you look at the face side, you have Pete Dunne, who really was a heel until 2 seconds ago. So
That's true.
The jury's out. And you have Gargano and Aleister Black. But then after that, you have, like, Cassius Ohno. You know what I mean? Like,
basically dudes that
guys
just
who-
lose all the time.
right.
Yeah.
So I just feel like, I
He's
don't know.
he's got to stay there. There's really no other choice at this point.
Yeah, he's going to be a face for better or worse.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. So that does it for this week. That was all the shows. So we obviously got TakeOver Chicago on Saturday night, and we've got Money in the Bank on Sunday night. Let's hope we get at least one good show. I don't know.
I'm going to ask you one question to wrap it up with.
Okay.
You watched E3 for the most part.
I did, yeah.
This is not, by the way, spoiler, this is not a wrestling question. What thing that you saw were you the most excited for?
There were a couple of things I was pretty excited for.
But what was number one?
Number one. Oh, man. Well, see, it's tough because I was super excited to have Fortnite on Nintendo Switch because I have Nintendo Switch.
Okay.
But, man, The Last of Us 2 looks so good.
Woo-hoo-wee.
I mean, that kind of topped it for me there. Like, that was the one.
Yeah. Yeah. If I were to interject maybe one other thing. So, Last of Us Part 2 was it for me, too, just because that's my favorite game ever made. But I am really excited for Fallout 76, simply because when they first said it was going to be like an online Fallout, I was like, oh, this is going to be awful. But when I realized what it actually is a Fallout that is multiplayer, that is going to be sick.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
I'm excited.
To have, like,
I'm
teams
excited for
finally in Fallout instead of just being just you doing your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be a good time.
All right, man.
But it's going to be a good one. As always, guys, appreciate you listening. You can check us out on all the social medias, on Twitter and Facebook at Botchcast. You can catch us on Instagram at wrestlingbotchcast, and you can go to wrestlingbotchcast.com where you can find all the old episodes. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and leave us those 3, 2, 4, 5-star reviews, whatever you feel like we deserve.
One star.
1 star. We haven't gotten a 1 star yet. You could, someone could be the first.
Have faith, man.
I know.
Have faith. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. We will get that bad. Well, always a pleasure, SBL. And
Is it?
yeah, you're right. It's not. It's not.
Right.
It's not.
Is it really?
No, it's not. It's not. But we'll catch you guys next week.
Later.